Good morning, my dear friends. Welcome to another episode of the Vegetable Garden Project series. I hope you've already seen the first episode where I talked about where and what we will be doing. And together with Katarzyna, we told you what horticultural therapy is. Now listen, it's happening here. The vegetable garden is being created, actually a vegetable, perennial and herb zone. That's because I adapted it to the needs of the hospital here and changed it a bit, added some flowers and some herbs. And I'll tell you in a moment how the concept was created, and then I'll show you how we made each element here. Remember to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and let me know if you like this vegetable garden project. If you haven't seen the first video, I encourage you to check it out. We have a playlist, click and watch. My dear friends, to start building a vegetable area like this, you first need to have a plan. I already have this plan roughly drawn out here. The plan was to fit into an oval shape because I have an oval shape there in the form of those beds with bulb plants. The oval shape is also important because on one side there's a slope that's exactly in that shape. Oh, here we have this slope, and on the other side we also have a slope, which is also in that shape, and that's why I wanted to fit between these two slopes. I planned an oval that would enclose this vegetable area for me. Here along the oval we have a hedge. The hedge will be made of flowering shrubs. It will be made of spirea, which will bloom beautifully in white in the spring, and later we will trim it and it will create a kind of separation. The hedge will be about 60 to 70 centimeters high. Right in the center, as I mentioned, here are the main flower beds in the shape of, let's say, an ellipse. And additionally, I added two more to create a bit of interest here. And this is kind of the main part of this area. Now it's time for the vegetable gardens and for those elements that will allow children to participate in horticultural therapy activities. So I also marked out the flower beds. These are the beds where we will set up the vegetable gardens. And they can have a shape that's kind of like a wave, which fits in here into these slopes. Next, I planned vegetable boxes there. Vegetable boxes in two sizes. Vegetable boxes next to the seating area. Because here we have a seating area with a bench on both sides. The vegetable boxes, the ones by the bench, are double height and the next ones are lower. Next to the boxes, we have perennials. Perennials and herbs. In these main beds right here, there will be perennials. And herbs as well, and it will be the same in these smaller ovals. Later, vegetables will of course appear in these boxes, and the vegetables will be directly in the boxes, but they will also be in these perennial beds. And besides vegetables, two fruit trees will appear here. Most likely it will be a plum tree and gooseberries as well as currants. On both sides it will be similar. Of course, the whole thing will be topped off with a lawn, because the children who come here to relax, even in the hospital, will also have a zone with a nice lawn where they can spread out a blanket as well. Where in addition to participating in activities, you'll also be able to smell the scents from those herb and vegetable beds. This form is actually the final version. Of course, we will make an entrance here, where climbing plants will be planted above the entrance. For example, a blooming rose on each side. Here is also an entrance, and we need to make a place for the robotic mower. Because we got a robotic mower from our partner to take good care of this area, so I think we'll place it somewhere right here. Here our robot will have its base. Listen, based on my plan, my project, we came here, there was basically nothing here except grass. We found grass. So at the very beginning we marked out the elements that were indicated in my project. So we marked out the place where the vegetable area would be. We marked out the place where there would be those ovals in the middle. Why did those ovals even come about? Well, because earlier we planted crocuses here during a fall planting event, and I wanted to keep them. So we marked out a zone with a lawn. We got to work. And the result of that work is slowly becoming visible. Just before we started our work, the components from our partners arrived. We are building this zone, as I mentioned in the first episode, also thanks to our partners. One of the partners is Jagram, who provided decorative elements and seating components here. We have obelisks here. The larger ones will stand on the central herb and perennial beds, and we also have benches that will be placed between the raised vegetable beds with roses climbing over them. I hope that next year it will really bloom beautifully here. And these products from Jagram really create a great effect here because they elevate our garden, they add these vertical elements, since at first when we plant, the plants will still be small. Thanks to our partners, we can really build a nice vegetable and herb area here. But Jagram, for example, one of our partners, is also giving you something, 10% off products on the Jagram website. You can click the link in the description of this video or enter the code Hubert Lemansky during your purchase. My dear friends, if you're making a vegetable garden, of course you need to have those raised vegetable beds. They're raised because we're doing this here in the hospital and for children with disabilities, so it'll be more convenient if they're higher. We got the raised beds from Betmar, a company that sent us various components from which we assembled the boxes, some that have 2 levels and some that have 1 level. Because in the higher ones it will be easier for children in wheelchairs to work, and in the lower ones it will also be easier for smaller children to work. Besides, in the lower ones we will create structures for example, beans, and it will look great. Listen, we really found a construction site here, so we had to slightly fertilize this whole area, especially places like these raised vegetable beds. That's why the company Cronin provided us with different types of soil. Basic soil, the universal kind, and also specialized soil for vegetable gardens. And of course, eco-compost, which will be the cherry on top because it will greatly improve the quality of our mix. I've already poured this mix into the vegetable gardens we have, and I'll be adding the rest in a moment. My dear friends, it's already another day of work, but you can absolutely see the results. Today we're laying down rolled turf so that this area is clean, so that children can come, just like I mentioned after their activities at the hospital, sit on a blanket and relax between these fragrant flower beds. Flower beds have appeared and the first plants are already growing. I've already planted liatris, I've planted gora, cupid's dart, and there will also be catnip, lamb's ear, and other plants that will be fragrant and herbal, because marjoram will appear and lovage will also show up in these beds. And of course there are our vegetable planters, where in the next episode, which I already invite you to, I will invite children from the hospital and together we will plant vegetables there. I know it's already late because it's practically summer vacation, so we'll plant slightly bigger plants. We won't wait for them to grow. I'll try to find ones that are already larger. In addition to that, there will also be trees and fruit bushes. On the sides, in those large flower beds, there will also be mulch, because I'll bring some mulch here and we'll spread it out, and I think we'll almost be ready. I say almost because, as I mentioned, there will also be a small hedge here, which will be the last element of this whole area. If you want to stay up to date, of course, follow this channel, turn on the notification bell, and let me know if you like this project. The vegetable garden, because this is the very first vegetable garden project. But I plan to create such gardens in other places as well, including hospitals and nursing homes. More so that people have access not just to fresh vegetables, but to a space where they can work, plant seeds, observe, smell, and also relax. My dear friends, in the next episode we will launch the robot from our partner Teramu V1000. This robot is designed for larger areas, up to 1,200 meters. Of course, there is also a version for smaller areas. And as I learned from the manufacturer, later this year robots for larger areas will appear, and next year there will be a full range of durability options, from those for small gardens all the way to those for the largest gardens. While looking at this robot, since I've already taken it out, I got familiar with the app, so I can tell you about it in the next episode. I can already say yes. The matte surface is definitely a plus here, because if it happens to catch on a branch that falls, it won't get scratched. These plastics are fitted together really well, so it looks like an excellent job. I can't wait for it to drive over this lawn, but I still can't connect it here today because we just laid the lawn today. The lawn needs to take root here a bit, so I promise it will show up in the next episode. The flower beds I designed here are intentionally in this rounded shape so that the robot can move nicely along those curves. There won't be any square or triangular edges where robots usually have trouble. Here, everything is rounded. We'll also cover the flower beds with bark, so I think that won't be a problem for it either. If it works out, I'll tell you about it in the next episode. My dear friends, keep your fingers crossed for us so we can finish this today, because there's still a lot of work to do. I caused a bit of confusion by recording the episode here, so I have to wrap up now. And I have to go plant and lay the lawn now, because as I mentioned, we have to finish it today. I have a favor to ask you. Please share this video so more people can find out about the cool project we're doing here at the hospital in Radzishov. It's called the Vegetable Garden Project. That's the end of the second episode. And I'd love to invite you to the next episode, because we still have 2 more ahead of us, the final episode. And we'll come back here in 2 or 3 months to see how everything has grown. Keep your fingers crossed and see you soon.